because you love it so much. So I'm currently designing 2 games, but I think the first one I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna start all over because I don't think I managed to do something great with it. And also because it was just a hack of Burning Wheel and Torchbearer somehow that I did it just to get to practice. I realized today that it's more like a practice process that I did with it. But anyway, so the first game, this video is gonna be about the first game. It's called Aluminium, and it's an existential cyberpunk. It's a really philosophical proposition. It's the idea that you go through an existential crisis in a cyberpunk setting called the city. So the idea is, the city is really general. It doesn't have any specific thing. It's just the city, and it's divided in three levels. You have the slums, you have the core, and you have the upper ends. And so basically the poor, the middle class, and the aristocratic riches. And so the idea is that if you have the way I started the design is that I ask myself the questions from Jared Sorensen, and which are what is this game about? How is it about that? How does it reward that? And John Wick's how does it make it fun? So if we ask this question, so what is this game about? The game is about going through an existential crisis. How is it about that? Well, in many ways. At character creation, the game, when you create your character, the character is starting an existential crisis. There's no way around it. Can be whatever age. It doesn't have to fit the 30s or the 40s crisis of of psychology. It's just there's different kind of existential crisis, and then you get to define it at character creation. Also, you have an attribute called the Sein attribute, which is German for being. Lots of Heidegger inspirational in that game, and which is a German philosopher. And you have you have the Sein attribute, and the Sein attribute is an attribute that can only go up, and it go up every sessions or so, depending on what happened during the game. And what you have to do is you have to use different kind of currencies in the game to keep it low, because when you because the game is kind of against you, where it's not the GM, it's the game, and it's like it wants to make you go to 10 as fast as possible. And so you have to because when that design attribute reach 10, the game is over, and depending on what happens, the crisis can go really bad or really good. So you have to you kind of have to manage that design attribute using the currencies you have in play, and there's an element of randomness in that. So this bipolar thing where character creation structure the crisis, and the existential attribute is the way to create that existential crisis for their character development. So every time you play that game, the game is about 10 sessions. Every time you play that game, you play an existential crisis in that cyberpunk setting. Now, how does it reward it? There is 5 currencies in the game, which I don't remember the name because it's been a long time since I've read it, but it's there's 5 currencies in the game, and these currencies are all related to different kind of existential component of life, so of a human life or an individual life. So like passion or ethos, or I don't remember on the top of my head. I was like, this morning I just woke up, I said let's talk about that, but it's I will come back. We'll make like a series of these, and then I will describe in more details. But so how does it reward it is that you have these 5 currencies which are related to different kind of existential move and different kind of existential stances and stuff that happens to the character in the game, and that makes you existentially grow. So it's really philosophical game. It might be way too much philosophical to be a game that can be like fun in the sense of woo-ha, you know, like it's a little abstract in that sense, but anyway, so this is how it rewards it. So these currencies that you do while you play your existential crisis feed off the reward cycle in a way that you can manage the existential attribute, you know. So there's all the cycles are connected. This is really burning wheelie. This is why I say that this is part of the kind of core element I took from Burning Wheel. Then how does it make it fun? Well, the fun of this is that the player gets to use is strategies and different kind of gambling. There is tough choices that you have to gamble and to have to strategize using the currency in order to not let your existence get the best of you. So as a player, you get to manage the character's existence using these things in a way that you don't let existence, you know, get at you, kind of thing. So that's how it's fun. So you get a gamist satisfaction out of that. All right, so this is how I answer the 4 questions, and then I started from there. And I didn't want it to. I didn't want it to create the same game as Burning Wheel. I wanted to get away from it. But when you create an hack like that, you end up playing the same game, because even like there's no dice, so I completely have a different system. It has nothing to do with the Burning Wheel D6 dice pool. It's a playing card game. No dice, just playing cards. So the randomizer is a deck of cards, 52 cards, and so I created a whole system using that, and it's mostly based on a classic card game that I don't know how you guys pronounce it in English, but in French it's like fight. You know, the highest card win. So you draw a card, you put it on the table fast at the same time than the person in front of you, and the highest number win, kind of thing. And then there's a couple variation on top of that. You can add some modifier on top of that. So I created a modifier thing that gets some modifier to the card, which makes for a fight, kind of thing. So that's basically it. You know, it's a versus thing. It's either against life. Life is the GM, so sometimes life gets at you, or it's against another player. You know, so that's how it goes for the existential thing. And this is the mechanic as well for the cards. So there's no dice, so it's different than Burning Wheel in that sense, but because of the cycle, because of the beliefs, you have beliefs, you know, you don't have. Do you have instinct? I don't remember if I hack the bits. I think so. I think you have instinct as well. I'm sorry, I should have read it. I'm gonna get back for more details. But so what I did is that I designed the whole thing from Torchbearer. I hacked the conflict system. So all the fights and all that, and all the gear, how the gear work. Because cyberpunk is a gear-based genre. It's like the idea of, you know, getting yourself in plants and manipulating all kinds of tools to get what you want. So gears are a big part of this game, and skills, you know, lots of skills. So skill-based, gear-based, lots of cyberpunk skills, lots of different kind of stuff you can buy, implants. So what I did is that I created categories for gear. And I basically used the Torchbearer conflict and gear system. So I created categories, and the categories get divided in 4, like defend, attack, you know, using the torchbearer thing. So basically it's like a mishmash of all that, which created a mess, you know, obviously a mess of rules and stuff. So but it does work because it's the same element, it's the same situation as Burning Wheel and Torchbearer. The cycle system makes the story goes around the beliefs, which are all triggered toward existential crisis, so you can't go wrong with that. And then the conflict mechanic from Torchbearer, I mean, it's a subsystem, you can apply it, it's just the way it is. So I changed the Duel of Wits. I used the Duel of Wits, but I changed it to play with the cards. So and I had a different other rhetorical moves. So I took Duel of Wits and I hacked it in a different way, completely different way, which is really cool. I'm kind of proud of it. This was my first design. So I did everything. So it's done. The character creation has nothing to do with Burning Wheel at all. Character creation is a questionnaire, a really long questionnaire. And depending on where you're born, inspired a little bit from Torchbearer, depending on where you're born, depending on how you answer the question, it gives yourself skills and points. And then you can, there's a little bit of point buy, not a lot, just like a few points, so you can buy a few things, but you get what you are from the questionnaire. So depending on how you answer, the questionnaire tells you what skills you have, you know, and depending on your age, you get a certain number of points for your attribute. So your age will dictate your attribute. So every character that has that age is gonna have that kind of attribute. Now these are gonna change according to the questionnaire, because you know it's not everybody who's as dexterous. You know, you're not strength, like you can be 30 and super strong, and you can be 30 and super weak, right? So depending on how you answer the question, these are gonna change, right? So you get a base number according to your age, and then you answer the question and these number will change. Then you go to skills, you answer questions and you get the skills, and the skills open based on the attribute. So you don't get to choose how much they you know, that is dictated by but how much attribute you have. This is really Burning Wheelie again. And then depending on where you're born, so upper ends in the setting, upper ends, core, or slums, you get some other skills that comes from the territory. It comes with the territory. So all that, and then so really fast, really simple character creation. And then you depending on how much money how much you have in your resource attribute, you get to buy yourself some gear at the beginning or not, depending if you're poor or if you're rich. And then that's how it goes. And then you get to play the story, and I mean it is so I finished it, you know, the only problem is the playtest. Even the alpha playtest, you know, playing with your friends, is hard. It's hard to come up with time to do that, because people don't have time and they don't want to use their free time to playtest your shit. They want to use their free time to play games. They don't, you know. So you need really good friends, really close and good and willing friends to playtest your stuff, you know, because it's you know, I didn't ask a lot, you know, my friends to playtest with me. I should, but at the same time I don't know, for some reason Aluminium I'm not a big fan of. So this is it for Aluminium. you know, I did a few playtests real fast with the cards, create a character, and it went well. You know, I know it works well. We've seen a couple mistakes here and there. We tweak it up. So I guess you get to, if I get to play more, you know, I'm gonna see all sorts of problems. You can tweak it up, and then, you know. So, but the problem with this game are obvious. First, it's a hack of a game, so I need to ask the permission from the designer and all that. So, and I don't wanna go there. Also, since it's a hack, it ends up being the same game you play, and I'm not satisfied with that so much. I know there's a lot of good hack out there, like Dungeon World, you know, like but it's, you know, it's nothing against the hackers or whatever. I mean, it's great to practice, you know. Obviously I got to manipulate concept and systems and subsystems and make it intertwine and all that, so I practiced that, and I enjoyed it. It was really fun. Coming up with a mechanic, I mean, you get really OCD, and so I have all my rules written and all that. Like I said, the setting is just a city. There's no going up in the wilderness kind of thing. It's just a city. It's really abstract. You have the three layers. That's all, and the rest is just about you know, going into that crisis. Now, the existential crisis thing is really abstract theme. It's not everybody that can grasp at these things, and it can, you know, it can really fast fall into a Shadowrun mission based, you know, gun blazing game, because it's cyberpunk. So if you don't control yourself, that's what it's gonna become. So there is you know, there is this situation, right? So I don't know how much of the mechanic supports the team. You know, I have an attribute, I have a currency for it, but it might not be enough. For example, you play, and then you do everything you do, and then you go through the motion of the currency, but it doesn't change the fact that all you do is gun blazing in missions, or that you just go against, you know, the cyberpunk stuff, and then, oh yeah, right, I have an existential thing, you know. It doesn't I need to play test to see if it works, in the sense of, if, you know, are you just going through the motion mechanically? Does it really contribute to the story, or you really have to force yourself to, kind of thing? And on the other hand, there's the last and the most important thing, is that it might work on paper, but it might not be fun at all, just because of the theme, or just because of the mechanic in itself. It can just be, it's not fun. You know, you don't know that. You need to try it out. So this is it. This is Aluminium, an existential cyberpunk, and which was my first attempt at design, and it was a fun experience. I'm really not sure if I will continue. I'm sorry, if I will continue it. I'm gonna go back at designing cyberpunk, but I might simply gonna do another one. That's not gonna be an hack. It's just gonna be my stuff. But anyway, thank you for watching. Talk to you soon.